shade hat on, and I think we'll move this down. It, and we're all set. Okay. This is probably one of the most important videos I ever did. Maybe the most, I don't know. It's really way up there. And I'm just going to lay it out, you know how I am. So today is the 26th of October. It's a Thursday. It's 9:30 in the morning. 77 degrees. We're probably going to be at about 92 in the peak, maybe 3 o'clock. So be uncomfortable. We'll have to run the AC much of the day. Probably at the night because it'll heat the house up. So let's do our praise. There is no God like Jehovah. 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 There is no Messiah like Yeshua. 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 Okay. Now, because what you're going to get today is like being heavy duty, it's a 9.8 on a 10 scale. Okay, and it's that high because it's reasonably immediate or close to immediate, a few weeks away. Maybe 2 months. I'd say it's anywhere from 2 weeks to 2 months. As a guess, I didn't get that from the Lord. That's me guessing. I've been praying that the Lord would, make sure I have this right, that the year of recompenses is the same year as the year of redemption, and it just started with the recompenses. And I've asked him a lot of times to correct me, and he didn't correct me today. He confirmed it, that I had it right, as I'm taking it, and I'm sure you would too. All right, since this is so heavy duty, I'm going to do something that I do before, but I do it pretty rarely. And as you know, I'm a Levite and I'm a descendant of Aaron. How does that work? Well, the signs you get when you're born, I was born in the Bronx, New York. It was a 99% Jewish neighborhood. When you're born, your parents at that time, they would give you an Anglo name and they would give you a Hebrew name, because I came right after World War II, not long after. So coffee. And my Hebrew name is Moshe. That's what my parents gave me. Okay. Now, when you have the son, you've got to redeem him, and the Jews would redeem him with the rabbis, but the rabbis don't take money from a Cohen. A Cohen is a descendant of Aaron. You're also a Levite, so all Cohens are Levites, but not all Levites are Cohens. Okay. And the sons of Zadok, they don't track. So they don't pay money to redeem the son, firstborn son, and when I went to my father's funeral, they were time for the pallbearers, and I went to be a pallbearer, and the rabbi stopped me and said I wouldn't do that if I were you, because to him it was touching a dead body, and I'm a Cohen. They don't have the scripture straight, but I think you get the point. And that's how we know we're Cohens, also by the names. Yeah, my last name is a Cohen last name. It's actually a prominent name in Israel, sort of like a Kennedy type thing or something like that. But I'm moving along. So I'm going to, as a Holy Spirit-filled believer in Yeshua and a Kohanim, I'm going to do what they call the priestly blessing, or the Aaronic blessing, for all the true believers that are watching this now and watch it down the road. So I'm doing this for real. It's not a game, okay? I'll read you the scriptures. starts in Numbers 6:23. I'm going to be doing it in English, okay? Speak unto Aaron and to the sons, his sons, those are the Kohanim like me. I'm actually a son of Aaron, literally. But the high priest office is gone. Yeshua has that office, not the descendants of Aaron. But we still have we're sort of like over the Levites, and we have in the next temple, the Kohanim, the Cohens, the priests have different tasks that allow them to get more in the inner workings inside of the temple, closer to the glory of God of Israel. Okay? Alright. So, speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, so that includes me, saying, on this wise you shall bless the children of Israel. So if you're a believer in Yeshua HaMashiach, how could you not be a child of Israel? Saying unto, now Yeshua is a Jew from Judah, descended from the line of Jesse, David's father, the line of David. He's the king of Israel. He's the high priest after the order of Melchizedek, and he calls the believers his brethren. So you're not in the church standing next to Israel. That's a mean joke Satan's playing on you. Okay? You're in Israel. Okay? In New Jerusalem, there's 12 gates. Each gate's made out of a giant pearl and guarded by an angel. And in the gates, all 12 of them are named after the 12 tribes. Naphtali, Zebulun, Asher, Judah, Levi, etc. Okay? So, what gate are you going to go in if you're going to say you're in the church? There's no church gate. And when you come on the second Exodus, which is going to be real soon, you will be joined into one of the tribes. That's in Ezekiel 47, the last 3 verses. And you'll be treated as a real Israelite, and you're born, a native-born Israelite. You will be an Israelite, a member of that tribe, you and all your kids and grandkids and great-grandkids and everything. And now you'll know what gate you'll go into. That's found in Ezekiel 47. Well, here we go. I'm going off again. Okay, Ezekiel 47, the last 3 verses. I'll do this quick. This is when they're dividing the land after this Zechariah 12, very soon to come about. I believe this is when it happens. So shall ye divide, it could be after the great day of the Lord, but I believe it's going to happen after Zechariah 12. So shall you divide this land unto you according to the tribes of Israel, and it shall come to pass that you shall divide it by lot for inheritance unto you and to the strangers that sojourn among you, which shall beget children among you. They shall be unto you as born in the country among the children of Israel. They shall have inheritance with you among the tribes. And it shall come to pass that in what tribe the stranger sojourneth, there shall you give him his inheritance, saith the Lord God. Okay? So you're Israelites. Get off the church stuff. Satan's playing with you. You say, oh, I stand with Israel, but I'm the church. I'm not in Israel. Then how are you going to get into New Jerusalem? He's a pretty nasty dude, this Satan. Okay. So I'll start again. Speak unto it, so it goes in Numbers 6:22. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying, on this wise you shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them. Now I'm going to do this for real, for all those listening now, and all those that listen in the future, that are true believers in Yeshua HaMashiach. Jehovah make his face shine upon thee, and be gracious unto thee. Jehovah lift up his countenance upon thee, and give thee peace. And I put the name Jehovah upon said children of Israel, and Jehovah will bless them. B'Shem Yeshua HaMashiach. This was done for real. Holy Spirit filled, descendant of Aaron. There you have it. Okay, I'm going to check and you're going to know why I did that just now in a few minutes. All things work to good for those who love the Lord. All right, okay, I am going to do a quick couple of things in the chat. That's going to be rather quick. You can put questions up in the chat. I'll periodically check them. Almost done. Okay. This is going to be acutely affecting people that live in the United States. We're talking about the daughter of Babylon. We're talking about the wars currently going on in Israel. Okay. Biden has repeatedly, since he's been talking about this war and taking actions involving Israel and the Middle East, he has been talking on without stopping of a two-state solution. A two-state solution means we take the West Bank, which is Samaria and Judea in the Bible, and it's much larger than Gaza. And it has someplace between 2.5 and 4 million Muslims living there. We don't even know, because we don't treat them like regular Israeli citizens and permanent residents. And we don't know how many there are. The estimates are at least 2.5 million. The high side could be 4 million. There's, I'd say, between 250 and 400,000 Jewish settlers living in the West Bank, so they're greatly outnumbered. The West Bank has not been seriously developed for Israelis. They live in settlements, fences, security guards, they get guns easily from the government, and they have patrols with hired professional security people, ex-military, ex-police, and they also add into the security. They volunteer to stand watch and stuff like that and patrol the fences. And some of the fences have sensors and alarms and stuff, and they have, some of them have dogs. They'll take their dog with them, you know. Can't sneak up on a dog. Even little Yafa, you can't sneak up on them. The little dogs, their hearing in their noses are like a big dog. You got to get that in your head. They get it too. So there's not going to be any hiding behind a tree or a bush or behind a car or a building or under a car and then jumping out and ambushing a security guard if you got a dog. The dog's going to know way away, and he'll start growling. Then he's going to start barking and run over to where the guy is. And these guards are armed, and they got, you know, radio communication, cell phones. Usually the settlements have a line to the military or a radio for the military, and they can call for help, which could come by helicopter, by vehicle, by foot, whatever. So, but if this thing unleashes, if these 2.5 to 4 million people decide they want to play wipeout like Gaza, it's going to be a bad bloodbath. But they're not going to be able to go to their houses and, you know, drag out unarmed people, because these people are armed. And they got their neighborhood watch committees, and they got assault rifles, they got both. Some have pistols and assault rifles, some have just one. It doesn't matter that much. If you were a terrorist infiltrating and you had an AK-47 and some guy sitting there with his 9mm going boom, 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 you're not going to like it, okay? And they don't wear bulletproof vests. I guess it's economic, or I don't know why. They don't. All right. I mean, some of them might have them, but in general, when they went on October 7th, we found no bullet, well, they're not really bulletproof, but bullet-resistant vests. Let me explain something. Ex-law enforcement as a kid, and I know a whole lot about guns, and I've owned a lot of bulletproof vests, okay? The good bulletproof vests are called a plate carrier. They're usually about 10 by 12 inches, and you put it up here where the lungs and the heart are, and you wear, it has like a holder made out of like canvas, and you put it in there, and it has straps around the shoulders and around the sides. Now, the metal ones are really the superior ones. I used to have them. They got stolen, but I had one set, not in Israel, in other countries. So they weigh 7 pounds each. They're special hardened steel, armor steel. They're 14 pounds plus a pound for the, the straps. So that's about 15 pounds. And they got little padding over it so you don't get the blunt force trauma that much. But the blunt force trauma from plate carriers doesn't, and the metal ones, doesn't transfer in that much. Now, when it's hot, and it's 98 degrees, and you're wearing one of these things, it's a burden. Now, what a lot of people use today is a ceramic plate carrier, which is a ceramic thing, and it's probably half the weight. Here's the problem with these things, is the metal ones will take multiple rounds. Like, you could spray it with, 15, 20 rounds, as long as they're not in the exact same inch or something like that. The holes aren't on top of one another. It'll hold up. The ceramic plates don't hold up that well on multiple hits. Okay, they hold up pretty good. And there's different levels. Now, if you want to get let's just go to ceramic plates, because the metal plates are sort of out of favor, although I like them. If you want to go to the ceramic and the regular ceramic plates that the military uses, what the cops use is called, I think they call it a level 3A, or some of them even have level 2. They'll stop a 12-gauge shotgun, they'll stop the pistols, 44 Magnums, and they're not going to stop assault rifles. They're not going to stop an M16 or an AK-40. Okay, we're having reconnect issues again. I think we'll be all right. Okay, so the regular police bulletproof vests, the older ones they call the level 2 something, they would stop pistols and buckshot, and the more modern versions stop more high-speed pistols. They fall apart at about 1,700 feet per second. Any projectile, rifle or pistol, going at 1,700 feet per second is going to cut through the vests that the police wear. They normally, a lot of them will buy a little ceramic plate like this, and it has a pocket, and they put it in over their heart. Because if you get around in the heart, you're going to go out pretty quick. So they have the big vests, generally 10 by 12, some could be 14, some go down into the crotch, some close the sides, some have open sides. The plate carriers have open sides, okay? They don't go down to the crotch, and they're not very flexible at all, they're hard. So, the cops don't wear normally the ceramic. Now, the SWAT team might, but the regular cops don't. They don't hold up to assault rifles, military rifles. The AK-47, the M16, the 308, they'll cut right through. So then now comes bulletproof, armor-piercing bullets in rifles. Now, to stop an armor-piercing bullet with a vest, it can be done, but the thing's starting to get thick and heavy. And again, some special forces may use that, but it's pretty unusual to see that in use. Regular soldiers don't use armor-piercing rounds, okay? So anyway, I'm diverting. So that's how they live in the West Bank in the settlements, okay? And when we read in Zechariah 12, which is the next war, it can't be Gog and Magog, because when you read Ezekiel 38, it says that we're living at peace and rest, without bars and walls, with cattle, gold, silver. So it means we're rich. They come to take a spoil. We're rich. Today, 2.5 million Israelis are living at the poverty line. Yes, I know what I'm talking about. And then you have living in peace and rest without bars and walls. You got to be kidding me. Everybody's got bomb shelters. They lock themselves in. There's fences and bars all around the settlements, and houses have these, and the walls separating us from Gaza and the West Bank and Syria with fences and everything. Come on, it's loaded with this. So anybody that teaches you this, that it's now, you shouldn't listen to. They're lying to you, or they're really ignorant. In either case, they're blind. And if the blind follow the blind, they both fall in a ditch. And I don't think, it doesn't say ditch when you translate it. It says the pit. And the pit's where you go to await the judgment when you're bad, when you're evil. All right? So, what's going on here in America? Let's take a hard look at it. Biden keeps saying two-state solution. What happens if we have a two-state solution? Gaza repeats itself. What do I mean? They militarize. What happens to the Jews living there? They'll be perpetually attacked, and they'll give up and they'll leave. Have trouble, but we're having trouble. There's probably something I could do about this. Let's see. I can't. It's Wi-Fi trouble, I believe. I can open up the door. The dogs might start barking a little bit, but we'll try to contain that. This should help. Okay. Is also a part of Israel that's only 14 to 16 miles or so wide. And they don't, when they say two-state solution, they say pre-67 borders, before the 67 war, when we took back the Sinai Peninsula, and we took Gaza, and we took the West Bank, and we took the rest of Jerusalem that we didn't have, East Jerusalem. They want that undone. They got us to undo Gaza. The Americans put the pressure on us to withdraw from Gaza and give it to them. And look what happened. Look at the massacre on October 7th. We used to live in Gaza. It didn't go on. There were no rockets coming out of Gaza. We listened to America. Netanyahu was for it. Don't forget that. He's the curse on Israel. There's no biblical expression like that. I just call him that. He's horrible. And millions of people here feel the same way. We left. Reluctantly, the military had to drag people out. So it wasn't the will of all the people, it was the will of the Americans imposed on Israel, who was much weaker than. And they left. The Muslims took over, the Hamas moved in, and Palestinian Islamic Jihad and all the, I don't know, Fatah, or who knows, they were all tied together, they were all buddies, you know? We're all buddies, all right? And they moved in, and they started building rockets and everything else, and started up with us. The West Bank would be the same thing, except multiply it by 5. It'd be 5 times worse, or 3 times worse, take your pick. It's larger, they got more population there now, and they have a border with Jordan, and the king of Jordan is not stable. He has a lot of problems. They'll just come in from Jordan with weapons. Okay? And we'll be getting attacked from Gaza and the West Bank at the same time. And they'll start by horrifically murdering the people living in the Jewish settlements, as they call it, in Samaria and Judea, i.e. the West Bank is what the media calls it. Biden keeps, every time he talks about what's going on in Gaza, two-state solution. Trump pushes it. This is to reverse Bible prophecy. That's the motive. There's no good reason for it. None. Who runs the nations? Satan. That's what our Bible teaches us right now. Not for long, but now. And we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but the powers of the air. Who are they? Unclean spirits. That's who's behind it. Why? Satan and the unclean spirits want to shut down the advancement of prophecy. They know, maybe their disciples don't know, but they know who they are. They know what's going on. They know they didn't conquer God. They know about the angels. They know about Yeshua. They know about Jehovah. They're not very interested in seeing it. So what are the tools and the resources of the unclean spirits? But people. They don't have the powers they had when they were thrown down from heaven anymore. They don't look the same. They're not the same. They're spirits, but they're not the same as they were. So they need to use people. Okay? Now, what are his definition? He's a murderer from the beginning and the father of lies. Right? That's Satan. So how can you tell his disciples, his followers, murderers and liars? This didn't work. I'm going to switch networks. I hope we don't get cut off. By the way, so could be an attack, but I doubt it. Okay, so when Biden says that, Biden is saying he wants to reverse prophecy. Now let's go talk about Gaza. Every day, 200, 300 rockets coming out of Gaza. We've been stalled, which the media tells us is coming from the Biden administration from invading Gaza many times. Last night they did go in with a small force with armor, with tanks and stuff. And they did whatever they were going to do, and then they came out. But we can't stop the rockets unless we go in. The most logical conclusion is that they have 300 miles of tunnels. Netanyahu's been a prime minister for 20 years. Why did he let this happen? Why? Ask yourself. Don't look to me for the answer. You ask yourself. And they have rocket launchers in the tunnels. They have, with 300 miles of tunnels, they probably got 50 or so entrances and exits. Many of them would be, they'd go up into a building, a house, an office building, apartment building, a supermarket, whatever. And that way they can, let's say you have a house, so people just go in the house, and then they go down into the basement, there's some cards there, and then they enter the tunnel. So they bring the rocket launchers out from the tunnel. They set them up right next to civilian structures, apartments, houses, schools, hospitals, stores, you name it. They launch the rockets, okay? Now, Israel can detect and focus on those launch GPS coordinates rather quickly, but how much time does it take to launch the rocket and then run back in the tunnel? Maybe they take the rocket launcher back, or they just leave it there. If it gets blown up, it's just pipes and stuff. They make another one. Okay? See what I'm saying? It's not very difficult for them to do this. They're safe, and they got the rockets off. And they keep doing it in different locations. And then after the hoopla is over, they come back and they probably can retrieve the rocket launchers in many instances. They're pretty, unless there's a direct hit, they're probably going to hold up, Or they can pick them up and run back with them too and just throw them inside the building or something. Okay, so every day we're getting that. Does America speak to that? Does America say we feel sorry for the Israelites taking all these rockets every day? We have to stop that? No. Have they attacked Hezbollah? They said repeatedly, Biden and Blinken and all of them, if you open up another front, good night, right? They opened up another front. Nothing. What do we see? They're bringing a massive amount of naval vessels from other countries and America and all kinds of aircraft coming over here. Now, did they offer to evacuate dual nationals in Israel? Israel has up to 600,000 people living in Israel, not Gaza, Israel, that have American passports and are American citizens. And they evacuated some, but they just took them on a cruise ship to Cyprus and said, you're on your own. Great evacuation, huh? The other countries evacuate their people and fly them back to their origin country. No, they just leave them in Cyprus. Okay? But what are they doing? They're reversing prophecy that the Israeli people that were American returned to the promised land, and they're removing them to get them out of here. And what's the alibi? We want to protect these Americans. Has America done that in any other country? No, not really. They just issue, no, they take the diplomats out, but they just issue a call to get out of the country. That's what's going on now in a lot of places. Got it? That's reversing prophecy. What the Israelis want to do in Gaza, because October 7th was a Holocaust, basically, to us. A small Holocaust, but it was like a Holocaust. The things they did to people, burned them alive, cut babies out of pregnant mothers, I mean, I don't want to go through it. It's all verified, it's all considered truth, and, you know, and how this happened is very suspicious, okay? But I'm not going to get into any conspiracy theory. The government itself is saying they're going to conduct an investigation. Yeah, okay. All right, so let's go back to Gaza. The only way, what we want to do is eliminate Hamas. And then to make sure it doesn't happen again, we want to go back and occupy Gaza, like we used to when we had no rockets. We're of the belief that if we don't do that, new terrorist groups will move in through Egypt predominantly. And it'll take time, of course, and they'll set up shop again and start attacking us. Now, we've closed the borders. There's no border crossings into Israel anymore. And we found out a lot of these workers that were coming into Israel weren't really workers. They were spying for Hamas, or they were Hamas spying for Hamas. So we're not going to give them any more jobs, so there's not going to be an economy. The place looks like a shambles now. So if they do come back, where are they going to go? The chances of getting the hostages out, which are over 200, are very, very minimal if they're in the tunnels. Very minimal. You can't send soldiers in the tunnels. Why? Because they'll have remote-controlled explosives all over the tunnels, and when they'll just have cameras, and they'll watch, either physically or with cameras, when they see the soldiers, boom, they detonate. They'll probably use a hardwired detonator. The soldiers aren't going to have a chance to poke around through 300 miles of tunnels and uncover all these things. That would take, 2 years? The only way they're going to give the hostages back is if Israel withdraws from Gaza, the war's over, no more bombing, go home, Israel, and we release thousands of the terrorist prisoners in Israeli jails. Now, there is a chance that they might release the hostages if Israel just agrees to stop the bombing and not attack it anymore. What if Biden makes a deal with them to do that and then tells Israel, you've got to stop, and Israel says, no, we're not going to have this again, it's going to happen again? What happens? You students of Bible prophecy know what the daughter of Babylon is going to do. Bad stuff. Do I have a scripture? But you know, whenever I say, do I have a scripture, I have a scripture. Now we'll find it. I think I'll find it, I may not find it. Okay, I gotta search. It'll not, I think I can use eSword to do the search. Let us try. Oh, wait a second, typo. I can't remember every scripture for everything. It's a lot of scriptures in my head. I'm getting there. It's in Jeremiah 50 or 51, but I don't want to go looking for the verses. Jeremiah 51:24, and I will render unto Babylon, that's the daughter of Babylon, that's, and to all the inhabitants of Chaldea, same thing, it's America, all their evil that they have done in Zion, that's Israel, in your sight, saith Jehovah. That means that we're going to see them do the evil. So it's not the behind the scenes, manipulations. We're going to see. That's the first potential for blow up. Hamas would say, for instance, possibly, we want some guarantees from America that Israel will stop bombing us and retreat before we turn the hostages over. See how it could possibly play that way. So then they'll force us to withdraw. When the nations attacked Israel starting in 1948, the United States had an arms embargo on Israel. You can check this in Google. And the whole UN did. That Israel couldn't get weapons. Yet the Russians, there was an arms embargo on the Arab states that attacked us, yet the Russians were supplying them with modern weapons at the time. That was allowed, but we couldn't get weapons. We had to buy some from Czechoslovakia that were old World War II non-functional and rebuild them. It's in Google. Go check it out. The United States put an embargo on us. There was a ship of Jews escaping the Nazis in Germany in early World War II to not go to the concentration camps. They came to America. America turned the whole boatload of them around and sent them back to the concentration camps, saying there was quotas on immigration. Check it out. It's in Google. The British did the same thing with Jews trying to escape Europe and go to Israel when they were still in Israel, pre-May 15th, 1948. and they too turned them back. The British even fired on ships coming from Europe with Jews escaping Hitler. They fired on them with naval artillery. Go to Google and check it out. In 1973, Nixon was president. We had that war, and Nixon had promised Israel to send them aid for the war, which was in the form of, bullets, weapons, bombs, rifles, things like that, right? The war began, and then Nixon called up Israel and said, listen, I will give you the weapons, but not for 5 days, out of respect to the Arab states. So for 5 days, Israel did not get the aid that was promised. And then we got it. And then what happened to Nixon? Bye-bye, Nixon. Okay? That's the history. Got it? Check it out on Google. Don't take my word for it. Don't tell me I'm an American hater. Go check it out. I'm calling the facts here. So don't expect this. What you see here is not what you think it is, with all the troops and planes and Navy ships and everything. It's not what you think it is. Okay? It's not what you think it is. The intent here is to reverse Bible prophecy. If we occupy Gaza, then they got us. Okay, when the nations attacked us, in spite of all their manipulations, what happened? We kept winning. 48, 67, 73, 2006 in Lebanon, we kept winning. So Satan got smart and said, well, when we do this, we use the Muslim states surrounding Israel, the Muslim majority countries, what happens? They lose. God helps Israel. So what was his next game plan? Put pressure on Israel to return the Sinai Peninsula. We had it for some years. We had oil wells. We were getting our own gas for ourselves from our own land that God promised us in a covenant in Genesis 15. It's a covenant and God doesn't break covenants. It goes from the Euphrates River to the Nile River, then the Mediterranean to the edge of the Persian Gulf. It's about 100 times bigger than what we have now. And it includes west of the Euphrates River only, Turkey, Iraq, Syria. All of Lebanon, all of Jordan, which is Ammon, Edom, and Moab, all of Yemen, all of Oman, the UAE, Bahrain, Qatar, Kuwait, across the Red Sea. It includes east of the Nile River, Egypt, Sudan, South Sudan, Uganda, and Kenya, and then it has pretty much all of Ethiopia, Eritrea, Somalia, and Djibouti. It's about 100 times bigger than what we have now. It has all of Saudi Arabia too, if I left that out. And those coincidentally happen to be the Psalm 83 nations. How about that? And Zechariah 12, we see the two witnesses there. In Zechariah 12:6, it calls them the chiefs of Israel, burning up the enemy on the right hand and the left hand. That's not talked about in the churches. It's right there for you to read it. Zechariah 12:6. So, to siege Judah and Jerusalem, Jerusalem sits here like this. The West Bank wraps around Jerusalem like that. So the West Bank has to be a problem for us. That could mean America goes in there with peacekeepers, and then when it flares up they withdraw, or they just go nuts, or they come in from Jordan, or all the above. I don't know. So Satan learned a lesson that raising the nations up against Israel doesn't work. So what he does is he has Israel give the land back out of fear. So they pressured him. It was Jimmy Carter, I think, with Anwar Sadat in Egypt, and then they pressured Israel heavily to give the Sinai Peninsula back, and they did. They felt scared. They were not turning to Jehovah. They were fearing man. They gave it back. Got it? Gaza. It looks like a similar event. No, you can't invade. What they were telling us the last time was that Hamas could raise 70,000 people and come out of the tunnels with a kamikaze, a World War II Japanese, they called it a bonsai attack. They would come out of their positions battling the Americans, and they looked like they were going to lose. And they would just charge the Americans who were entrenched with artillery, mortars, machine guns, and they would get mowed down. But they felt it was more honorable to attack than to just stay holed up in their trenches and wait for the inevitable with the bombs and the artillery. They were doing this for the honor of their ancestors, and they were doing this because they felt their emperor was a deity. That's why MacArthur had paraded him and had him say he's not a god. The forces in Japan that were the military were just using the emperor as a figurehead, trying to control him. They misused him. He was the emperor. Look what emperor now say this. They weren't really believing he was a deity. They knew it was a scam. Okay. And the terrorist warriors, the Muslim ones, are capable of doing this. So America said that if you go in with a gross brute force invasion of North Gaza from the north, from the Mediterranean, and from the east side of Gaza, they're going to run up out of the tunnels and just charge you in some type of a bonsai attack, knowing many of them are going to get killed. The Americans had experienced this in the Philippines in the late 1800s. And they were taking drugs back then too. There were Muslim warriors in the Philippines taking drugs, stimulants, to attack the Americans. And that's when America went for the sidearm, the pistol of the soldiers, from the 38 to the 45, because the impact of the 45 is more brute force, and it would knock them down where the 38 pistol wasn't doing the job. Okay? There were accounts the soldiers would bayonet these Filipino guys that were charging them with machetes and swords, small swords. Filipino swords aren't like samurai swords. They're, maybe 12, 14, 18-inch blade. Bad. And machetes. Machete is a broad-bladed weapon with fixed steel, and they can be sharpened. If they do it correctly, they use truck and bus springs, suspension springs, and they melt it. That's a very good steel. It's a high carbon steel. You got to keep it oiled so it doesn't rust, but it's a very, very good steel. I'm familiar with an excellent steel. So they weren't having cars back in the 1800s, but they had access to good machetes. And they would run at them with their swords and the machetes and daggers and whatnot, clubs, whatever, right? They didn't even have rifles. And they took this crazy stimulant drug, just like the October 7th in Vegas took. And the soldiers would bayonet them. And they would have a bayonet in them. And the stimulant could keep them going maybe 2 or 3 minutes. And they pulled the rifle into them deeper and then hit the soldier with the bayonet because he wouldn't let go of his rifle. And they would try to kill the soldiers. They knew they were goners. They were Muslim warriors in the Philippines. America knows this. So they said, look, We have experience in Afghanistan and other places. You're going to get an onslaught of, I believe they said 70,000. I think it's probably more like 50,000, but maybe it's 70,000 because more could have snuck into Egypt. I don't know. And they're going to try to kill you guys. Just a brute force, massive, crazy charge. That's why we sent our guys in with armor. They're locked in an armored car or an armored Humvee, or they're locked in an armored personnel carrier, or they probably need to use those. Or they're locked in an armored tank. They can't get them. Okay? So that's one of the stories we're hearing about why we can't invade Gaza. How can you counter that? Well, one thing we could do, but I don't know why we haven't done it, is sneak teams in like we did last night and find their generators and just pop an artillery shell or a machine gun blast on them. Our tank machine guns, at least one of them in the tanks, is remote control, so the guys can stay inside the tank with cameras and night vision and infrared for heat, and they could detect the target, lock in on it with a computer, and put a burst in it, blow the tunnels up, blow the air vents up, something. Right? We're not doing that. Well, probably one reason is there's hundreds of these vents, and it would be a massive undertaking. There's a good reason for that. Are the bombings working? No. It's driving people away from Ashkelon, Ashdod, Sderot in the south near Gaza. The people have been evacuated out, and they said they're not going home unless we occupy Gaza. Biden is not going to let Israel occupy Gaza. All we get out of the military and the Netanyahu government is we're going to invade, but not yet. Every day, we're going to kill them, we'll wipe them out, but just not today. But every day we're taking 200, sometimes 300 rockets. Is this going to make people want to leave Israel that are not believers in Yeshua? Yeah. They had a whole cruise ship full they took to Cyprus. It's getting worse. Now I need to show you something. I gotta pull it up from the internet, which will take a minute. Let me check the chat very quickly. Okay. Hang on a minute. Let me look at. I might have questions in the chat. There's the airport. There's a small amount of flights going in and out. You got to be careful because if you take a flight, let's say from South America or someplace on North America, and you go to Europe, by the time you land in Europe, the airport could be under fire from missiles, and they shut the flights down, and now you can go drop $200 or $300 a night in Europe till the airport opens, and you're able to get a flight. El Al does do some direct flights from North America though, but they're pretty costly. No, it's not far from me. Nothing in Israel is far. Israel's maybe 6-hour drive from north to south. Nothing's very far. He's working both, so it's Gog and Magog. Okay, I had enough with this one. Numerous warnings not to put churchianity doctrines up here. So, no more from this one, trying to dominate the chat. That's an S-bot sign, so I'm done with this one. wasting my time. Ignore anything this character said. Okay. Back to my finding you a newspaper article on the internet to give credibility to what I'm going to show you, because it's rather fantastic. I'm going to put the headline up on the screen. I'm going to give you several sources. Let's see if you could read it. U.S. plans to evacuate 600,000 Americans from Israel. These are the dual nationals. Many of us came from America and we're still American citizens. I hope you could read that. Okay, that's coming from the Mail Online, Daily Mail Online from the UK. It's a big UK newspaper. Wait, we get it from more. The Washington Post, for instance. This is Washington Post. America plans on evacuating more than 600,000, Americans living in Israel. Telegraph. Again, I just picked 3 newspapers. This is not a rumor. Biden and his administration have not rescinded this story floating around in the news. In other words, and that's it, I never said that. This is real. How do you do this? I don't know. I mean, and where are you going to put them? The last evacuation, one cruise ship, they took them to Cyprus and said, see you around the campus, you're on your own. So are they going to scatter the Jews around Europe again? Reversing prophecy? Uh-huh. You didn't hear me. Yes, that's what they're trying to do. Get the Jews out of Israel. To make that work, you got to have Israel pretty scared. 200-300 rockets a day, day after day after day after day. Stuff coming down from Hezbollah, stuff coming in from Syria. All the terrorist groups saying they're going to assemble and attack us, which is true, they will. It's Zechariah 12. They lay siege to us. That's going to motivate the unsaved Israelis to want to go out. Not all. There's no way all 600,000 are going to go. Much of those 250 to 400,000 settlers living in the West Bank, much of them are dual nationals from America. They ain't going nowhere. They ain't going nowhere. So there's no way they're going to get 600,000 out unless they do it at a point of a gun, and I don't believe they'll do that. I could be wrong, but I don't believe they'll do that. Netanyahu seems to listen to them. Half the Knesset is, a lot of the Knesset is divided against Netanyahu right now, but they're not getting very public with it. But Haaretz newspaper in Israel talks about it pretty frequently. It's a big publication. Left wing, but big. They don't like Netanyahu. I don't like him either. Okay? All right. America is trying to reverse prophecy, is what they're doing. Remember the expression Hillary used to say, never let a good crisis go to waste? Well, maybe this was just a good crisis not going to waste, or maybe it was something different, you know. I don't have any hard facts. How the heck could you evacuate, let's say, even 100,000 people? The average cruise ship will hold 3,000, so they could charter a bunch of cruise ships and give them destroyer and submarine escorts until they're, you know, I don't know, 400-500 miles away from Israel. They probably wouldn't even need to go that far, 200-300 miles, or to do it. Or just to be nice, they might go 500 or even 1,000 miles, you know. Where is America going to put them? Where would America put them? Anybody know? Come on, think. 4-letter word that starts with the letter F, as in Frank. Let me go to the chat and see if anybody figured it out. Come on, 4-letter word that starts with the letter F, as in Frank. Anybody? FEMA. Think. Good guess. FEMA. Camps. Now, I told you years ago, those are to stop the Israelites from going to Israel when the time comes. They would try to keep them. It says that in Jeremiah 50:51. Let me find it. If I can. We know this happened with Pharaoh in Egypt. He wouldn't let him go, and then Moses and Aaron, which is sort of a precursor type of the two witnesses, because they were prophets and judges. The two witnesses are referred to as the chiefs in Zechariah 12:6, but it would be better understood as a judge. Judges are prophets. Moses and Aaron were judges and prophets, and Pharaoh wouldn't let him go, and the two witnesses laid it on him until Pharaoh let him go, and then he came back and tried to kill him anyway, and he got killed with his army. All right, so things are following that pattern, by the way. What's been done once will be done again. It's in Jeremiah 50:51. It says they wouldn't let him go. I don't want to sit here and scan all of the scriptures and find it. Maybe it's in my notes from the other days. Let me look. The two witnesses are going to travel to the nations and get the Israelites and the believers in Yeshua that need to be getting out. They're going to get out. And they're not going to be that nice about it. And when the people leave, they're going to leave with the wealth and riches, just like the Israelis left with the wealth and riches from Egypt. They were so happy to get rid of them, they gave them all kinds of offerings. Red alerts are going off now. Rockets are coming in someplace in Israel. My phone's keyed to get rocket alerts anywhere in Israel. Okay. I found it. Jeremiah 50:33. rocket. See, this is every day, all night. And people are going to want to leave that don't have faith. Thus saith Jehovah of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah are oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go. Their Redeemer is strong. The hint here is year of redemption, which is now. It started around August 1st, so we're practically in the 4th month. Their Redeemer is strong. Jehovah of hosts is his name. He shall thoroughly plead their cause, that he may give rest to the land and disquiet the inhabitants of Babylon. Okay, now I am not able to include in this a whole discourse on why the daughter of Babylon is America. You can email me and I'll send you a Bible study from my website for that, or you can go through my YouTube videos. In my channel, you don't go to the video section, they're all on the live, because I live stream. And look around there, there's not that many, there's under 100 videos. Look around there for a Daughter of Babylon Bible study, it's there. Okay? Alright, so it says, just to cover it in brief, if you don't know, it says, upon many waters for the Daughter of Babylon. So what does America have? You got the Great Lakes, you got the Atlantic, the Pacific, the Gulf of Mexico, 8,000 rivers, and about a similar amount of lakes. So what are the other alternatives? Well, it's the Vatican. Does the Vatican, is that on many waters? Well, let's see. I imagine on any given day they got at least 100 quarts of holy water. There's water fountains there. They got toilets and urinals. And they got a couple of fountains outside spritzing water for decoration. Is that on many waters? Of course not. What about Mecca or Medina? They always say that's the daughter of Babylon. Well, they're in the desert. Are they on many waters? Come on. It says the nations gather to her. Where does that happen? It happens in 2 places in America. The first place it happens is Washington, D.C., which is where the nations have their embassies. The other's another rocket coming in. See why it's wearing down the Israelites? And they, I'll put this out so you can hear the red alerts if they keep coming. I'll put it near the mic. So, they meet in D.C., the embassies, and where else? They meet on 54th Street by the East River. It's called the United Nations Building. Who's the hammer of the whole earth but America? Who's the great voice but America? I can keep going, but guys, there's just about as many known Jews from Judah living in America as Israel. And remember, just before this happened, America approved visa-free travel for Israelites to come to America. So they're going to open up that door for Israelites to get out of there and come to America, escape the war, which is reversing prophecy, which is the same thing as a 2-state solution. Give the land back. Gaza, give the land back. Sinai Peninsula, give the land back. So now what are they talking about instead? Give the Jews back to the nations. Let's reverse the captivity God did. Send them out of Israel. Clever, isn't it? Think God's happy? Think he's pleased with this? Or do you think maybe he considers him an enemy and he's going to rid himself of his enemies? The latter. Has America really attacked any of these troublesome nations like Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Iran? Not really. Every time we're going to invade Gaza, we get another excuse. We got to get the hostages out. Look, on a 10 scale, 10 being the most difficult, 1 being the easiest, getting those hostages out is a 9. I give it a 1 in 10 chance they'll get any of them out alive. They're probably in 15 or 20 locations. They're probably in secure rooms. Either they're locked in a very secure room, or they've got guards in the room with them with guns. Probably not, because they have to be afraid of them being overpowered, so they're probably just locked in. And they could have explosives in the room, or they could put bomb belts on them, whatever, and just push a detonator, which could be hardwired, so you can't jam it, and boom, it's over. And you can't, you could, let's say they're in 12 locations. You could simultaneously attack all 12 locations at the same time if you ever knew where they were. But chances are you wouldn't. You'd have to get some, and then they could have hardwired, in the tunnels they have hardwired communications, so you can't eavesdrop it. So, they pick up a phone. Yeah, hey, it's me. What are you doing? You pick up a phone, so that can't be monitored. So the guy says, oh, we're getting breached. He picks up the phone, we're getting breached. So what do they do with the rest of the hostages in the other locations? They move them or kill them. Is Israel ever going to agree to this? Netanyahu may try to pull it off, and that's going to bring on Ezekiel 34, which I can't explain all this, but that's the end of the bad shepherds in Israel, which the government is the shepherd. The priesthood's not operating here. They're doing it. And that's going to happen real soon. I think God's pleased with any government of Israel that wants to see 600,000, potentially 600,000 Jews reverse exodus out of Israel because God won't protect them. That's the innuendo here. God's not going to protect you. Where's your God? You don't have no God here. Get out, save yourself. Come to America. If they did do this and God didn't act, what would they do with them in America? Well, they'd probably leave them alone. They'd try to, it would never happen, but they'd probably set them up initially in the FEMA camps and then try to integrate them back into society. They'd probably have to give them some welfare and get them in the job market and stuff like that. I don't think they would execute them. The game plan here is to get them out of Israel. Satan had a guy that tried executing them outside of Israel, so the Exodus would never happen. And his name was Adolf Hitler, and it ended pretty bad for him. So I don't think Satan's gonna try that again. But it's never gonna happen. It's never gonna happen. I don't think their intent is to start exterminating Jews or anything like that. Their intent is to get them out of Israel. And then the idea was to try to keep them happy in America. A lot of anti-Semitism laws, punishing people that pick on them. That would be what they would try. Is it going to happen? I don't think so. Not in any substance, anyway. There's nothing in the scriptures about it. I don't think it's anything they're going to do while the war is going on, although they say it's to get them out before the damage from the war. But they also want to take 86,000 dual national Americans out of Lebanon. Look, I know a lot about cruise ships. When I was working in the world, I think I took 25 cruises, something like that. I don't know a lot about today's super modern cruise ships, but I was cruising in the early 2000 years, so I know a lot about the fairly modern ones that are still running today. They could, there's some cruise ships you could put 5,400 on that you count them on your fingers. There's some cruise ships you put 900 on. You can count those on both hands. 3,000 probably is a number plus a crew. So they go to the cruise lines and they say, we got an emergency, blah, blah, blah. We want to charter cruise ships. There's probably 60, 70 cruise ships that sail in out of America and Europe, maybe 100, you know. So they could possibly do it. Where are they going to put them? I don't think America has enough room in their FEMA camps or emergency housing or anything like that, so other countries would want to have to take them in too. That would hurt the economy in Israel, believe me. And it would break the spirit and morale of Israel. It would divide Israel because the Israelites would feel very resentful towards the people that abandoned it. But the Israeli mindset is not that. The war started, we had 200,000 reservists that were living outside of Israel for years, flew back, put on their reservist uniforms, reported for duty, got some brief training, you know, go to the range, get updated on the Gaza situation, and then they're in Gaza or up by Lebanon. I have a distant relative that hadn't been in Israel for, I think, 17 years, and he came back. They just left their life and came home to Israel. I don't see this big exodus out. Oh, I'm sure they could probably get, 5, 10, 15,000 to leave or something like that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they can figure that out. And they might not even do housing for them. They may just drop them off at the pier in New York or Miami or something and see around the campus, and they're on their own. I don't know what they'll do. Maybe if they need help, they'll bring them and get them emergency housing where they get in welfare or go to hotels till they can get housed somewhere. I don't know. You know, a lot of communities, to keep the homeless off, give them hotel rooms. And the way it used to work, and I think from what I know from picking this up, it still does, you're in usually a wealthy community that doesn't want them sleeping on the streets with tents or living on the streets because it turns into San Francisco. So they call a number and they give them their particulars like social security number, name, date of birth. And then they tell them, you call, I think, starting about 3 o'clock. And they tell you, okay, go to, Riley's, Moonstar Hotel on 3rd and, Finley Street or something, right? And your reservation number is 2349, and they write that down. And you can't go till 5 o'clock. So 5 o'clock, they show up at Finley's motel. And they come in and they give them the reservation number, and Finley's gives them a key, and they go to the hotel. They go in the room, they turn the TV on, and they probably have a hot plate, and they start cooking ramen noodles or whatever they're going to cook, drinking beer, shooting dope, whatever. And there's a lot of them in there, so they probably start blasting music, keeping the doors open, and having a little party. Hey, you got an extra brewski? Yeah, we got some here. Hey, you got any Coke? Yeah, here, take a line, that kind of thing, right? And you probably got dope dealers in there, thieves, prostitutes, whatever. Okay, so then they got a hotel, and then they got internet, they got TV, and maybe the hotel makes them keep the doors closed and makes them keep it quiet. Hey, they get good money. They don't get super duper money, but they get good money, they got to get out usually by, I don't know, it's something like 11 o'clock in the morning. So they pack up in the morning, take a shower, whatever, cook their breakfast on the hot plate, and they bail. They got to get out, okay? The next day, they got to wait till 3 o'clock, so they're hitting the streets in the broad daylight hours, which means the police can watch them, and they're probably not going to do much criminal activity in broad daylight. And then they call again at 3 o'clock, get a hotel, and they show up at 5. And then on the weekends, they go in on Friday, 5 o'clock, and then they don't have to leave till Monday morning. So they got their peace of mind on the weekend in there. And some of these people have cars, they keep a lot of their stuff in the car. And it's a sad situation that America's turned into that, but it has. The government has not saw fit to build large housing projects on government land that they could let them live in and, you know, have, if they're able-bodied, they could say you can only live here if you work. And even if they work 4 or 6 or 8 hours a day, you know, a few days a week, you know, give them something to do. Have buses pick them up, take them to a factory or something like that, pay them, you know, and then get them there. But, you know, the ones that can't work or the ones that got 7 children and got to stay with the children, you know, you're not going to get them working. But they don't do that. They don't have any of this housing. They give lots of money to other countries, but not America. Go figure that one. What do you think's going on? Ask yourself, is that the daughter of Babylon? Not helping the poor? So that's really what I discern is going on here, and I don't think if Israel does do a mass invasion of Gaza, there's going to be a big blow up between America and Israel. The alibi stories are going to be, well, we didn't get the witnesses out yet. Do we know how many of the witnesses are still there? Do we know how many are alive? No. Is it entirely possible some of them have been killed or died because they couldn't get medical, they didn't have their medicine, they weren't properly taken care of, they didn't eat right? I don't know. I mean, is it a possibility? Absolutely. Do I know it happened? No. Do I know it didn't happen? No. We don't know anything. So instead of admitting this is a real loss, oh, Netanyahu, you tell your Jews to just put up with 200 or 300 rockets a day for a while. And the hope is they keep postponing the invasion, postponing, and then the Israelites get scared, and, well, they get burned down on it. Oh, forget it. We're never going to, you know, and America will ultimately get ugly with Israel if they do invade, because they're not going to leave. And this is about Bible prophecy with the powers of the air. It's not about what they're making you think it is. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against the powers of the air. Wake up. Who's going to lose the most? Satan. I'm going to go through a few other scriptures with you. Jeremiah 50:44. Behold, he shall come up like a lion from the swelling of Jordan unto the habitation of the strong. That's Israel. But I will make them suddenly run away from her. Okay, so America suddenly runs away. Why? Let's keep reading. And who is a chosen man that I may appoint over her, over Israel? That's the judges. Those are your 2 witnesses. For who is like me? And who will appoint me the time? And who is that shepherd that will stand before me? Therefore hear ye the counsel of the Lord, that he hath taken against Babylon. Well, it's really Babel, it means confusion. In this case, it's the daughter of America. And his purpose is that he hath purposed against the land of the Chaldeans, daughter of Babylon. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. As the noise of the taking of Babylon, the earth is moved, and the cry is heard among the nations. We know in Jeremiah 30, verse 11, what it says. For I am with thee, saith the Lord, to save thee, though I make a full end of all nations whither I have scattered thee. Yet will I not make a full end of thee, but will correct thee in measure, and will not leave thee altogether unpunished. Believe me, we've been punished plenty. Look at it now. A full end of all nations he scattered the Israelites into. You think Satan doesn't know this scripture's there? Of course he does. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but the powers of the air. I don't know to what extent he illuminates his disciples that run the nations. I really don't know. And the corporation. I don't know. I don't care. I don't care. This cannot happen before the destruction of the daughter of Babylon, because there'd be nobody to destroy it. This comes after. The destruction of the daughter of Babylon is extremely close. It could be 2 weeks, maybe it's 2 months. I don't think it's anything longer than that. That's my opinion. The Lord has not shown me these time frames. It's me. We're just about in the 4th month of the year of recompenses and year of redemption. More scriptures. If America's really going to wage war on Iran and her allies of the Muslim nations around Israel and in the region, they're going to need more than 2 or 3 aircraft carriers. They're going to need 5 or 6. And will they bring them over here? They might, with their escort vessels. When they did Iraq in the 90s, they had, I believe it was 6 aircraft carrier groups here, plus a battleship. We had battleships back in the 90s. It was shooting 16-inch guns with 2,000-pound bombs, artillery shells. It was able to fire those up to 25 miles, but typically it would be 15 or 18 miles. And this 5 or 6 aircraft carriers would have about 30 escort ships. That would give them 250 to 300 aircraft, plus the aircraft they have on the ground. When they fought Iraq, which is probably 1/5 or 1/10 as powerful as Iran, they had 1 million troops and 6 aircraft carrier groups. Iran is much bigger and more powerful, and is provoking the United States in open defiance. And if Gaza has 300 miles of tunnels, what do you figure Iran has? 1,000 miles? 2,000 miles? How are they going to do that? Good question. Now let me start opening it up to you. Jeremiah 50:24. Got to pay close attention here, because this is the kingpin of understanding it. Speaking about the daughter of Babylon, I have laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken, O Babylon, and thou wast not aware. Thou art found and also caught, because thou hast striven against the Lord. I told you how they're striving against the Lord with Israel. They're walking into the snare. They're already in the snare. They're not fully enveloped by the snare yet, but they're going in. An animal goes in the snare and then it doesn't have a way out. That's America. Now. Not next month. Today. Today. Right now. They're in the snare. They're not completely in it, but they will be real quick. Days, weeks. Not long. More scripture. Remember, pride cometh before a fall, right? You all know that scripture. You think America's prideful? Luke 21. I'm going to do New Testament too, so you don't start thinking I'm doing just Old Testament that's been fulfilled. It hasn't been fulfilled. Luke 21. What was it? Wait. I lost it. 26 to the end. Luke 21. 26. Luke 21:26. Men's hearts failing them for fear and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth. For the powers of heaven shall be shaken. Those are the powers of the air. Those are the unclean spirits. They're shaken today. Men's hearts are failing. You see it all building up? And then shall they see the Son of Man. So this is a sign of the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. That's not the second coming. Okay? He's not coming on a white horse with a double-edged sword out of his mouth, with the angels of heaven coming down from heaven on horses also, with millions of angels. This is not what he's talking about. And what is the word coming? 2064 in the Greek. Let's see. Let's check this one. To come from one place to another place, arriving, and it also means appear. To make one's appearance, come before the public. Let me say this again. To appear, to make one's appearance come before the public. They twist it for you so you think this is your Schofield rapture. He's appearing in the clouds. The Son of Righteousness shall arise with healing in his wings. Zechariah 12:10. They shall look upon the one whom they have pierced and mourn for him. This is it. When is it coming? Men's hearts failing them for fear and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth. For the powers of heaven shall be shaken, and then shall appear. Then shall they see. They shall look upon the one whom they have pierced. This is it. This is the everlasting life. John 6:40. Those that believe and see him shall have everlasting life. When you see him, you shall be changed. You shall be like him. Those are all scriptures. Let me keep going. In a cloud with power and great glory. And you'll see him from the east to the west, like lightning from the east to the west. And when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh. Hint, year of redemption. We're in the 4th month of that year in a few days. A lot got to happen. The destruction of the nations, the destruction of the daughter of Babylon, which could be the day of vengeance, and the second Exodus and all of this. Time's running out. Nothing runs out with God. It's perfect timing, but it looks like that to us. And he spake to them a parable. Behold, the fig tree and all the trees, when they now shoot forth, you see, you know of your own selves that summer is nigh at hand. The summer is the harvest, the Matthew 13 harvest, tares in the wheat. So likewise, ye, when you see these things come to pass, they're happening now, know you that the kingdom of God is nigh at hand. The word kingdom is basileia. It means power or reign, R-E-I-G-N, reign of God. God running the earth through Israel, reporting to him with the 2 witnesses as judges running Israel, with the glory of God of Israel back in the next temple, which comes down from heaven. I've been building that with you for a long time. Pass away till all be fulfilled. The kingdom, the next temple that comes down from heaven is 100% not New Jerusalem. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away. And take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts be overcharged with surfeiting and drunkenness and cares of this life, and so that day cometh upon you unawares. The church is unawares. They're waiting to get ripped up to heaven in their rapture, which is on the last day. 4 times Yeshua. John 6:39, John 6:40, John 6:44, John 6:54. All that the Father gave him, he raises up at the last day. Folks, the last day means there's no more days. This is after the millennium. Satan's released, gathers them to surround Jerusalem, the New Jerusalem. Fire comes down from heaven, and we meet him on the air and go up in clouds, because there's no more earth or universe here left. Wake up, everybody goes up on the same day. There's no left behind rapture, and it's the last day. They're unawares. This is the last days of churchianity. Watch ye therefore and pray always, that you may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass and stand before the Son of Man. And in the daytime, he was teaching in the temple, and okay, that's it. It ends. Okay, let's go more scripture. Jeremiah 50:33. Thus saith Jehovah of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captive held them fast. They refused to let them go. FEMA. All that took them captive. That covers it all the time. I'm going to take a 1-minute break, and then we're going to go to Isaiah 47. I don't step on sheep or yapa. The Lord showed me I've got to cover a couple other things before we hit Isaiah 47. We'll wrap it up with Isaiah 47, I think. But I got to take you into Revelation 17. Oh, the snare. What the snare is, this is another thing he told me. They're drawing America into a theater in the Middle East, big time, which is draining America's military resources. You got it? In a big way. This is getting bigger and it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Now, Russia is working with these Muslim states. Russia has mutual defense treaties with Iran, as does China. Okay? As North Korea is their buddy. The axis of evil, as they call it. Right? So, they're sucking America in. Okay? They got their plans for America. They're sick and tired of sanctions and getting bullied around by America. That's not hard to understand. They're sucking her into the Middle East, in my opinion. And I'm quite sure I'm right. That's what the Lord showed me. And Russia's going to just light up NATO in Europe. NATO's going to be sucked into this too. They already are. UK is sending ships here. Greece is sending ships here. Other countries, France is sending ships here. They're already getting sucked in. It's begun. They're in the snare, but not completely in the snare yet. Not in its fullness, but very shortly. And when I say very shortly, am I talking months? No, days, weeks. Brief period of time. Probably not even a month. 2 weeks, something like that. I don't know, but I mean, it's fast, fast, fast. Things are going so fast. All right, so then China is going to open up in the Pacific. They'll hit Taiwan. Every day, Taiwan wakes up in the morning and they got, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 warships surrounding Taiwan, and they got all kinds of planes violating Taiwan airspace or going right to the edge or whatever. Okay, one day they're going to wake up and those warships are going to be there and the planes violating, but it's going to be a little different. The planes are going to be bombing them and the ships are going to be shooting missiles and artillery at them. Every day they do this. One day it's for real. Wears them down. It's rumored that Taiwan is a lost tribe. I can't verify it. I don't know. Have the Jews been scattered to Taiwan? Yes. Okay, Japan's going to join in with Taiwan pretty quick. Japan's scared of China, and there's a lot of bad blood between China and Japan. When I used to study martial arts, I was exposed to it because I studied Japanese karate and I studied Chinese kung fu. And I picked it up that way, and it's deep. And I've verified this with other people. It's real. Okay? The Japanese are really good fighters. So you're going to... and the Muslims are pretty ferocious too when they fight. But the Japanese will be a big match for them. Oh yeah. I know the Japanese mindset with fighting, and they can fight. And they're civilized people. They're very cultured and refined people. They're not too open to foreigners. They like staying with their own kind. But okay, North Korea hits South Korea. China takes on Japan and Taiwan. Australia's sending more ships to America, to the Middle East now. They already left. And what has Australia got to fight China with? Not a whole lot of anything. That's what they got. Have Jews been scattered there? Yeah. New Zealand too? Yeah. New Zealand's laying low, but that doesn't mean the Jews weren't scattered there. They were. So, will South Africa get involved? Probably. They hate Israel in a big way. But anyway, so they open up the theater, or they make America think they're opening up a theater to draw resources over there. I reckon there's about 3 aircraft carriers in the Pacific region about now. They draw them in. They don't actually have to start the war. They just got to draw the military in. And then Russia does things with NATO countries and draws the military into Europe and the Middle East. And then Russia starts attacking and China starts attacking, and they're all spread out. And do they have sleeper agents that came through the American open border with Mexico? I can't imagine how they don't. They'd have to be the dumbest people in the world to not take advantage of that. Imagine what America would do if Iran opened up their border, and would they send agents in, sleeper agents? So there's going to be fighting ruler in America, according to Jeremiah 50:51. So something's gonna light the people up. Is it gonna be the war in Israel? Is it gonna be the open border? They're gonna turn on Biden because of that. When it flares up, they're gonna blame him for it and march on the White House or something. I don't know, but it's gonna happen. We'll get the details. I'll search the Lord. I think it's gonna be they're gonna try to go after Biden when they realize what his open border policy did to him, and that's going to weaken the country even further, and they're doing that on purpose. They're saving it. Then they're going to launch their so-called sleeper agents in America to get division in America against the Biden administration, because he's going to have to take the full blame for it. He can't wiggle out of that. And Trump in the early stages will be there, Biden no good, Biden no good, Biden no good, left the border open, I never would do that, Trump's not going to be the Speaker of the House. They already appointed a Speaker of the House, so Trump's off that thing altogether. And America any military strategist will tell you America can't handle all these theaters at the same time with big division and civil unrest in America, bad civil unrest. America hasn't had anything like civil unrest like that till the Civil War. That's what the Civil War was, rule of fighting rule. That's the type of thing you're going to see. But everything's happening fast, and America's got more guns than anybody else. And they know how to use them. I was one of those people once, and I really knew how to use them. And there's people that were better than me, and they study tactics. They don't just sit there and shoot at paper. They study tactics, too. They're very advanced. They're like military, believe me. And more motivated. Okay? All that took them captive held them fast. They refused to let them go. The two witnesses are going to let them go just like Moses and Aaron. Let my people go. But it's not going to be the same thing. They're going to show up, and they're not going to be like Moses and Aaron. Oh, Pharaoh, the Lord, they're going to say, hey, there's 2 new sheriffs in town, and we're it, and you're not. And this is what you're going to do, or guess what? And then what happens? Their bodyguards come to get the 2 witnesses, fire out of the mouth. It could be lightning. Fire out of the mouth. No more bodyguards. What do you want? See how it plays? You're going to let God's people go. You're going to let all the believers and all the Israelites go. And you're going to give them wealth and riches and clothes and this and that. Your Rolexes, your Petit Philippe's, your this, your that, your gold, your silver, Your Armani's, your, Carolyn Herrera's, your Polo, all that. And what if I don't do it? Oh, that's when the 2 witnesses have fun. Well, let's see. If God's power was enough for Moses and Aaron to bring frogs in massive amounts, because the Egyptians worshipped frogs, into their houses and streets, could the 2 witnesses, which are way more powerful than Moses and Aaron, could they do that with frogs again? Oh, yeah. So you got to understand. Oh, sorry. Yeah, network issue. So you got to understand. Is that coincidence? It could be, I don't know. All right, so you got to understand, God had the power to make millions of frogs like that. Okay? People don't know how powerful God is. They're going to wake up. Opening the Red Sea, they walked through on dry land, dry shod. And then when they all got out, the last one got through, the water came in on the Egyptians. How are you going to do that? I mean, we don't even understand how you can do that. How do you do that? We don't know. I don't know. Well, let's say they didn't want to do frogs. Let's say they wanted to do cockroaches, like 3 billion cockroaches. How long would it take? A little water to blood, that's always a good one. Hail, that wrecks their houses, that's a good one. Flood, it's a plague, you could do that. Locusts, yeah, you could do that. Boils on their skin that hurt, do that. So dark they can't even see in their houses. But the Israelites had light in their houses in Goshen, but they couldn't get a fire or light anything in their house, the Egyptians, and they couldn't see outside. They had to just stay in their house in complete darkness. So they walked around outside, they'd fall into things and bang into things. They couldn't see their hand in front of their face. That dark. Chosek. Heavy darkness that could be felt. Chosek is the Hebrew word. Yet the Israelites had light in their houses in Goshen. And they were able to cook and stuff, I imagine, because they had fires, right? So you take a skewer, you put your meat and your green pepper and your onions or whatever on the... Yeah, come on, you know. They didn't have electric lights. Okay. So, how does he do that? I don't know how he does it, but he does it. Let's say they wanted snakes instead of frogs. No problem. What kind of snake do you want? You want a garden snake? You want the king cobra? What do you want? Tell me what you want. I'll give them to you. Well, we need 500,000 king cobras. You got it. You know, I mean, whatever, you know. You understand yet? How about stop their missiles, rockets, guns, tanks, planes, cars from working? Could God do that? Come on. Of course. Stop the electricity. I told you what he did with that iPad. I couldn't get that iPad to revive from the dead no matter what I did until he explained to me what I was doing. I basically was receding away from YouTube, and he didn't tell me to do that, and I didn't check with him first. So he took my second iPad, which I'm using for the Bible study today. It's working pretty okay. It wouldn't come up. I was trying this charger, that charger, this electric outlet, that. I couldn't get it to come up. As soon as I realized what I did wrong and I asked him to forgive me, I knew it was going to work. I went to sleep. I woke up in the morning and I think I went for coffee or something. I plugged it in. I came back a few minutes later. The white apple's on the screen. It's working, charging up. How did he do that? I have no idea how he did it. I don't know. So I'm telling you, he could stop the electricity. He could shut the diesels and the motors down. He could stop the bullets from working. Click, 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 nothing. The tanks won't drive. The cars won't. You understand? You're dealing with Jehovah. And when this is over, they shall know my name is Jehovah. It's not me. But that's what's happening. Will the two witnesses painlessly get the Israelites and the true believers out of these countries? Not only painlessly, enjoyably. This is a double blessing coming on you. A double blessing. It's never been seen before. You will enjoyably get out. Not, let me go. You're going to be singing in praises. The nations are going to be so scared, those that are left. They're going to give you their wealth and riches. They're going to be so scared of Jehovah and of Yeshua, they're going to give whatever. They're just going to give it as an offering to the Lord, so he spares them. Then they're going to carry the people to Israel. Some will have everlasting life, some that are believers when he appears, others won't. That's another Bible study. Check my YouTube. They'll come on the ships of Tarshish, which are the cruise ships. Gee, oh gosh, did I say America was going to be activating cruise ships to evacuate the Jews away from Israel? Do you think God may flip-flop it and reverse it and those ships get used to bring them to Israel? Do you think that would be like God to do that? See, I could be a false preacher. I got the voice and everything. Oh, my children. You know, all right. I'm not a false preacher. Never going to be one. Ships of Tarshish. You'll be on a cruise ship. You'll have the staff. They'll stay in Israel, which is going to be the best place in the world to live. They'll be your servants. Or slaves, as the case may be. I've word studied that, and it goes both ways, kids. It's probably going to be a combination or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, well, I'll search the Lord on it. Pray that we get good insight on that. And they're going to want to live in Israel and serve you. You're not going to have to work your land. They will. They're going to water your crops and harvest and sow and take care of your animals. And you're going to be taking care of your families, which is going to grow. New thing in the earth, the women shall encompass a man about. The women are not going to, they're from all over, I guess, are not going to have husbands anymore. Jeremiah 30:11, daughter of Babylon. They're going to say to the men in Israel, let us, take your name. That means marry. It doesn't mean be a whore, it means marry. Okay, yes, polygamy is in the Bible. Look at Solomon, look at King David. Okay, it's all over the place. Okay, it's there. Look at Abraham with the slave girl, though she was more of a concubine or something, Hagar. And he's the father, Father Abraham. Yeah, okay, yeah, it's there. But polygamy, I'm talking polygamy is there. Okay? So these Israelite men are going to marry these women. It says 7 women. And they're going to bang the kids out like crazy. What am I talking about? 40-foot trailer of diapers. That's what I'm talking about. Are you going to be changing the diapers? No, the mothers are going to have nursemaids, servants. They'll be changing the diapers. They'll be cleaning the house. They'll be doing the laundry. They'll be cooking. They'll wash the car if we got cars, or they'll water the horses if we got horses, or wash the chariots, whatever, okay? You're going to be like priests to the Lord. When? In a few weeks, a couple of months. It's not long, it's there. Not long at all. Don't be bummed out. Lift up your head, your redemption draweth nigh. What does that mean? You're going to see the Son of Man appearing in the clouds with power and great glory, seated on the right hand of power, God the Father. And those that believe and see Yeshua shall have everlasting life, John 6:40. They look upon him. You'll look upon him. I've covered this so many times. It's in there, okay? These are fantastic days right ahead of you, but the bad stuff has to happen to get there. Two witnesses are going to get you all out. You don't have to worry. Don't give it a second thought. Not a second thought. Okay? These people are going to be so scared what's left of them, then give you all kinds of stuff. The wealth of the sinner is stored up for the righteous, and that will come to pass. You will be wealthy. You will be healthy. You will have fantastic families. Your kids aren't going to grow up riding Harleys with gang colors on the back of their leather jacket, okay? They're going to serve Jehovah, okay? You're going to have your time to serve Jehovah. You're going to, they're going to, the way they're going to do it is there's going to be multiple wives. They're going to knock the kids out like crazy. I don't know if the women will have the menstruation pains anymore. I suspect not. As a guess, I didn't study it. I don't know if that'll happen anymore. And the birth is going to be pretty easy on the women, and it may be reduced from 9 months to, he's God, it could be 30 days, 90 days. That really gets things multiplying. Your cows are going to live a long time. Cows go, what, 4, 7 years, right? Let's say your cows went 70 years. And they're dropping calves all the time because they're all going to be fertile. They're not going to be infertile. It says that in the scriptures. So in 4 or 5 years, you know how many cows you're going to have? What about in 25 years? Your existing cows don't die off. You know how many cows you're going to have? You'll be able to fill your Olympic swimming pool with milk. Just to go in and soften your skin. You're going to have milk you won't know what to do with. I don't think we need to fill our swimming pools anymore. Revelation 17. It was a good analogy, though. And after these things I saw another angel. Whoops, I'm in 18. Well, I'm going to do this quick because I don't need to read the whole thing. Okay. And there came one of the 7 angels which had the 7 vials, and he talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. Many waters is countries, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication. Those all the world leaders are with her. Not anymore, but they were. We wrestle not with flesh and blood, but the powers of the air. And the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. So he carried me away in the spirit, I'll read the whole thing, into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. The scarlet-colored beast is the beast that comes up out of the sea in Revelation 13, who Satan gives his seat to in Revelation 2, and that seat is in Pergamos, which is in North Cyprus, which is Turkish territory. I've done a lot of Bible studies about that. They're in YouTube. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. That's worshiping other gods, fornication. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints. Think about that. And with the blood of the martyrs of Yeshua. Think about that. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. This was the same whore that ran original Babylon, but it's allegorical. It's a story. It's not a literal. Just like the 2 witnesses are not olive trees or candlesticks. It tells the story. And the angel said unto me, Wherefore didst thou marvel? I will tell thee the mystery of the woman and of the beast that carrieth her which hath the 7 heads and 10 horns. The beast that thou sawest is not, because he went in the pit, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit, Revelation 9. Great smoke when he comes out that blots out the sun. Obviously hasn't happened yet. And then the locusts come out with stingers like scorpions and serpents. Obviously hasn't happened yet. Ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition. That's when Yeshua returns. Throws the beast and false prophet into the lake of fire alive, and they have the honor of being the first in the lake of fire. And some honor, huh? And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is. And here is the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are the 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth, the 7 continents. Okay? All the nations are serving the unclean spirits now. And there are 7 kings, 5 have fallen, and 1 is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. I'm not going to speculate on who they were. And that's all the church people are going to do, just banty junk around. They don't know. And the beast that was and is not, even he is the eighth, and is of the seven, and goeth into perdition. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. So when the beast actually comes out of the pit, shows up in Pergamos where Satan's seat is, and Satan gives him his seat, and Revelation 2 tells us that, and that's where Satan dwells. It says it, Revelation 2. That's when these 10 horns come to power. These have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. These shall make war with the Lamb, and this has not happened yet, okay? This is down the road, quite a number of years. And the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is Lord of lords and King of kings. Lord, you showed me something I was searching for a long time. Okay. And it's sort of personal, I think. Lord of lords and King of kings, and they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful. And he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are multitudes and nations and tongues. He's sitting on all 7 continents. Sitting on is dominating. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. These 10 horns are 10 kings, and they're going to start coming to power, apparently, and I'm going to interpret this to you. For God hath put in the... Now, they could start coming to power before the beast comes out of the pit. That's what I'm getting. For God hath put in their hearts to fulfill his will, and agree, and give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of God shall be fulfilled. So they have a kingdom first, and then they give it to the beast. They don't go serve the beast and then get a kingdom. First they have the kingdoms. Now they're getting the kingdoms by destroying the daughter of Babylon, which is America. So who to cast the characters? You can look at them, but they're going to be destroyed because of Jeremiah 30:11. So it's going to be another cast of characters. It's confusing, but let me keep reading. And the woman which thou sawest is that great city, which reigneth over the kings of the earth. It's a city. Her name is Columbia to them. They call it Columbia. The Statue of Liberty looks the same as the Columbia motion picture icon. The woman with the torch on a pedestal, same junk. Same junk. And what's the name of Columbia Motion Pictures? This Columbia Motion Pictures. What's Washington, D.C., the great city? District of Columbia. Bingo. Let's go to Revelation 18. And District of Columbia is not part of the 50 states. It's a city that the federal government owns and controls. It runs all of America, all 50 states, right? Okay, easy. And after these things I saw another angel come down from, this is Revelation 18, come down from heaven having a great power. And the earth was lightened with his glory, and he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and has become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. Well, this started with George Washington and Benjamin Franklin, the Masons. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. The great voice, the hammer of the whole earth. And the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, worshiping the unclean spirits. It's spiritual fornication. And the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. Well, they sell the big rubies and the diamonds from Africa and India and whatever to America, the fine silks from, where does silk come from? Egypt, the fine cottons from China, emeralds, no, cottons are from Egypt. You got the idea, you know. The Rolls Royces from Europe, and Bentleys from Europe, and Bugattis and Ferraris from Europe. You know, they're all selling their Rolex and Petit Philippe, selling their foreign goods to America. The caviar coming from Russia and other places. Iran has caviar. You know, you got the idea? Okay. The merchant Theotha waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that you receive not of her plagues. Time for that is very, very short. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and God hath remembered her lawlessness. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her, do according to her works. It's a double punishment. In the cup which she hath filled, fill to her double. It's like the cup of the wrath of the Lord, I suppose. How much she hath glorified herself, and lived deliciously. So much, I guess he's referencing Columbia, who is they probably referred to as the great whore, the daughter of Babylon. You know. So much torment and sorrow. Give her, for she saith in her heart, I sit a queen, and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, one day, one day, one day, one day. Fast, fast, fast. Suddenly, 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 snare. We'll elaborate. Death and mourning and famine. Fires cause famine. Hint, hint. Fires cause famine. So do locusts if the two witnesses tried to play the locust card. It's a good card. Nothing wrong with it. And she shall be, I'm talking a figure of speech, a plague of locusts. And you could also use palmer worms and cankerworms and all that stuff too. And she shall be utterly burned with fire. Remember the fire. For strong is the Lord God who judgeth her. And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they see the smoke of her burning. Think fires. Do you remember a few months ago there were these mysterious Chinese balloons, you know, that had a basket underneath that contained things, right? And they would say they were doing weather observations flying over places like America, and they shot some down. And then we read that they cause fires, and then some people said they have lasers that can shoot down to the earth and cause fires. And then other people said they might have thousands of these balloons. Did I make my point? Standing afar off, now the invaders caused the fires. I'll show you that too. It's not God coming down from heaven. I had that scripture this morning. I think I wrote it down, but we'll find it. Standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. So we hear 1 day, we hear 1 hour. Let's assume it's pretty stinking fast. And, you know, when you're in a snare, you don't know you're in a snare until you try to get out. And then it's over. You're cooked. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her. For no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. Nobody to buy it. The merchant, they see the Jeremiah 30:11 nations are still around. They're mourning over the goods they couldn't sell her. They're still around. Not for long. But he's using them to destroy the daughter of Babylon. Then they're going to be destroyed. That's when he's going to reign over the earth. Silver platter. The merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones and of pearls and fine linen. Where does the linen come from? Probably Egypt. And purple and silk. Silk is the Orient, I believe. India has silk too. And scarlet and all thine wood and all manner of vessels of ivory and all manner of vessels of most precious wood. And they have all these elaborate woods they use for their floors and their furniture and their tables, right? And iron and marble. Oh, they have showers in marble, bathrooms in marble, closets in marble, marble on marble with marble. They still have sterling silverware, the wealthy use it. And cinnamon and odors and ointments and frankincense and wine and oil. They get wine from France and America. Cinnamon, I don't know where it comes from overseas, probably. Odors, that's perfume, comes from France and Italy. Ointments, what is ointments? It's probably for women giving themselves facials. I don't know where it comes from, I don't know. And frankincense and wine and oil and fine flour. I don't know where all this stuff comes from. Wheat comes from all over the place. They got their own wheat. And beasts, they bring pets in from all over the world. And sheep and horses, they bring horses in from all over the world. And chariots and slaves and souls of men. And the fruits that they make slaves, the Satan bots are their slaves. They're their slaves. They gotta listen. That's how they make slaves out of men. And the fruits that thy soul lusted after are departed from thee, and all things which were dainty and goodly are departed from thee. And thou, because they've been looted and pillaged by the invaders, thou shalt find them no more at all. The merchants of these things which were made rich by her shall stand afar off for the fear of her torment, weeping and wailing, and saying, Alas, alas, that great city, which is Columbia, District of Columbia. Whoa. Okay, we got a battery charge issue, which is not hard to fix. Very quickly, have it restored. Ran the battery down, but have no fear, the charger is near. And we should be good. Okay, I'll back up a little bit. Find out where I was and rotated. Okay, so the merchants of gold and silver and precious. Okay, we did all that. Oh, I gotta try to fix this. Sorry. The merchants of these things which were made rich by her shall stand afar off for the fear of her torment, weeping and wailing, and saying, Alas, alas, that great city that was clothed in fine linen. That's a figurative way of looking at it, And purple and scarlet, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls. For in 1 hour so great riches is come to naught, and every shipmaster and all the company in ships and sailors, and as many as trade by the sea, stood afar off, and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, That city is like unto this great city. And they cast dust on their heads. That's mourning. And cried weeping. It's their source of revenue, they're mourning. Alas, alas, that great city. See, it's a city, it's not a country, it's a city. It's Columbia, Washington, D.C., District of Columbia. It's not a nation, it's a city. It's a city, it's a city. Did I tell you it's a city? Wherein, you see that this District of Columbia is not part of the states in America. Okay. There's another rocket going off, life in Israel. Wherein were made rich that had ships in the sea by reason of her costliness, for in 1 hour she's made desolate. Rejoice over her, thou heaven, and you holy apostles and prophets, for God hath avenged you on her. And a mighty angel took up a stone, like a great millstone, and cast it into the sea, saying, now this is very similar to Jeremiah 51, extremely similar. Thus with violence shall that great city Babel be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. And the voice of the harpers and the musicians and of the pipers and trumpeters shall be heard no more at all in thee, and no craftsman of whatsoever craft he be shall be found any more in thee. And the sound of a millstone shall be heard no more at all in thee. And the light of a candle shall shine no more at all in thee. And the voice of the bridegroom and of the bride shall be heard no more at all in thee. For thy merchants were the great men of the earth. For by thy sorceries, they're all into the Hollywood, the music, everything, were all nations deceived. And in her was found the blood of prophets and the saints, and of all that was slain upon the earth. That's basically the spirit that's running it. Powers of the air. Okay, let me see if I wrote a note on that scripture. Well, I think I covered it earlier. The people, the invaders, are the ones that actually do the fire. So the Chinese theory is an interesting one, to say the least. You won't be there for that. You'll be out before. And let me check the chat. I don't know why your comments are disappearing. I certainly didn't do it. I have a big word list of foul language, because I used to have bad people come in here that you might have triggered it, even though what you said wasn't that foul. I don't know. I have no knowledge. It's not me. Let's go, Brandon. That's funny. Painful things will be over for the believers and the Israelites that, are going to come to faith. When it says the blood was found to her, it's going to the spirit that's running America, not physical America per se. Although, who knows what they do. Remember Epstein, who knows. Okay. People were talking about my safety. Last night I came in from being out with the dogs and I heard an explosion. It appears to me what happened is, for some reason, we launched, I think it was a Patriot missile, an anti-missile missile, or an anti-aircraft missile, and it exploded somewhere around here. It sounded reasonably close, like I'd say within 5 to 10 miles. You'd be surprised how far these things carry. That being said, I also routinely over many years hear explosions from Syria. So it could have been South Syria, or it could have been, I think we had for some reason we tripped an anti-missile missile for no good reason, and it exploded somewhere around the Golan Heights or something, which is near me. I don't know. We got no red alert. So I wasn't that excited, but I had just gotten in. It was late at night. I got into bed, started looking at my email, and I heard this explosion. It got my attention, but you live here many years, you get used to a whole lot of stuff, okay? Hey, we don't bark in the house. Good dogs should be seen and not heard. Remember that, Beulah. Beulah, don't take me in vain. Okay, Isaiah 47. Then I think we'll wrap up. I want to show you, this is the destruction of the daughter of Babylon. I want to tie it together with current events for you, which I can do, because I practiced it before I got on the air. Okay, 47:1 of Isaiah. Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. There it is, daughter of Babylon, USA. Sit on the ground, there is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans. Chaldeans were in old Babylon. They were the soothsayers, the fortune tellers, the astrologers, witches, you know. For thou shalt no more be called. There's a door I can shut, and in this, don't worry. I'll stop. There's no Hamas dogs. They don't have dogs. Forget it. Come on in the house. Come now. Come. Mommy, Beulah, come. Now. Not next week. Thank you. We're not doing house parties. Go find something to do. Play cards. That'll end. Ugh. Okay, verse 2. Take the millstone and grind meal. No more servants, fancy restaurants, stuff like that. Things are in chaos. Uncover thy locks, your hair. Make bare the leg. Uncover the thigh. Pass over the rivers. That means like, thy nakedness shall be uncovered. We're going to know all the bad things they did. That's their nakedness. Some of you know what that is, and then they're not going to do it in this meeting. Yea, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man. Jehovah is not coming to them as a man. There's no conning Jehovah. It ain't going to work. As for our Redeemer, hint, year of redemption. Get it? See how it works? Jehovah of hosts is his name, the Holy One of Israel. It says Kadosh Yisrael, Holy Israel. Sit thou silent and get thee into darkness. Oh, like Egypt. Ooh. 2 witnesses. Shtaim Nevim, the 2 prophets. Shtaim Nevim, 2 prophets. Sit thou silent and get thee into darkness, O daughter of the Chaldeans. See, it's the same spirit that was in the original Babylon. That's what it's referencing, okay? For thou shalt no more be called the Lady of Kingdoms. That's Columbia, District of Columbia. You getting it? Okay. I was wroth with my people. I have polluted mine inheritance and given them into thine hand. Thou didst show them no mercy. Upon the ancient hast thou very heavily laid thy yoke. I believe North American Indians are a lost tribe. Remember things like the Trail of Tears and the Indian Wars, the massacres, the ancient. Getting some pictures here, okay. And thou saith, I shall be a lady forever, so that thou didst not lay these things to thy heart. It's saying they don't believe they're ever going to go down. So they read the scriptures and they say, no, Satan's stronger. We won. We're not giving up. That's what that means. That's a delusion. That's cuckoo, cuckoo, but they are cuckoo. In many ways. Epstein. So that thou didst not lay these things to thy heart, neither didst remember the latter end of it. They don't want to believe it. I can broadcast this from the rooftops. They're never going to listen. They're never going to let me listen. They're not going to believe it. Therefore, hear now this, thou that art given to pleasures, that dwellest carelessly. They're very careless right now. That saith with an open border, is that dwelling carelessly or not? Or something else, more subterfuge or something, I don't know. That saith in thy heart, I am, and none else beside me. They think they're the greatest power. I shall not sit as a widow. They're married to the land. That means losing their land. Neither shall I know the loss of children. That means losing the expires. But these two things shall come to thee in a moment, in a day. It's so fast when it hits. The loss of children and widowhood. The land's gone and their disciples serving the unclean spirits are gone. They shall come upon thee in their perfection. Do you know how bad this is going to be? For the multitude of thy sorceries and for the great abundance of thine enchantments. They run everything with their witchcraft. For thou hast trusted in thy wickedness. Thou hast said, none seeth me. Thy wisdom and thy knowledge hath perverted thee. That's because they're all into the dark arts. And thou hast said in thy heart, I am and none else beside me. She doesn't believe it's going to happen. Therefore shall evil come upon thee, thou shalt not know from whence it riseth. They're walking into a snare, but they won't believe it. They think they're so great. And mischief shall fall upon thee, thou shalt not be able to put it off. They're not going to get out of this one. And desolation shall come upon thee suddenly, which thou shalt not know. Stand now with thine enchantments, and with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. George Washington, Ben Franklin, Masons. Get it? Youth, the beginning of the country. If so be, thou shalt be able to profit. If so be, thou mayest prevail. Thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. Let now the astrologers and the stargazers, monthly procrastinators, stand up and save thee from these things that shall come upon thee. Behold, they shall be as stubble. The fire shall burn them, the fire. They're not going to come running through the streets like they did October 7th in Israel, because America's got so many guns, it would be suicide for them to try it. The Americans would group together, the gun enthusiasts and the militias, and go out and hunt them down. They're not going to do that. They're going to come with fire. The fire shall burn them. They shall not deliver themselves from the power of the flame. There shall not be a coal to warm at, nor fire to sit before, just like happened in Egypt. Thus shall they be unto thee with whom thou hast labored. Wait a minute. Thus shall they be unto thee with whom thou hast labored, even thy merchants from thy youth. They shall wander every one to his quarter, none shall save them. So a lot of the foreign workers there are going to leave and go back to the country they came from for fear of the sword. And the Exodus will go to the wilderness and then to Israel. It's here. It's started. It goes fast. It's begun. Lift up your head, your redemption draweth nigh. When you see him, you shall be like him. He has eternal life. Those that believe and see Yeshua, John 6:40, shall have eternal life. But you get it right now. They're going to project it off in the future, the church geniuses, the liars. Give me 1 second, I want to check a scripture. All right, Yafa, come on. You seem to know when I'm wrapping up. I don't know how. You're taking English lessons at night. So let me tell you, Luke 21:29, and he spake to them a parable. Behold, the fig tree and all the trees, when they now shoot forth, you see and know of your own selves that summer is now nigh at hand. That's the harvest this summer. This is referencing the Matthew 13 harvest, where the tares get cut off and the wheat get into his barn, and barn be Israel. He's the door to the sheep pen. Yeshua is the door to get into the sheep pen, which is true Israel. Okay. So likewise, when you see these things, he's also the door to get into New Jerusalem and to heaven. Door to all of that. So likewise, ye, when you see these things come to pass, know that the kingdom, the reign of God, is near at hand. They put in kingdom to screw you up. The word is basilia. It means a ruler or reign. It's not a physical place. Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass away till all be fulfilled. That's you all. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away. And take heed to yourself, lest in any time your hearts be overcharged with surfeiting and drunkenness and cares of this life, and that day comes upon you unawares. For as a snare shall it come on all them that dwell on the earth, the whole earth. It's all of them. All the entire UN wants to see a Palestinian state, must give land back. Watch ye therefore and pray always, that ye may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass, and to stand before the Son of Man. Okay. I think I covered everything I need to cover. So, Yafa, do you have any words out there for the dogs or anything? Don't curse the cats. I don't like that. You have any word for the dogs? No, she's not talking. She's here, sitting on her dad's lap. My little girl. All right, on Telegram, I'm going to be talking more about this, and I'm going to be getting more graphic. If you want to join Telegram, download the app Telegram Messenger. Send me an email. My email address is at the lowest line down in the description box. It's in the chat, highlighted in yellow. It's israelgiving with the number 7 at gmail.com. Israelgiving, one word, the digit 7 at gmail.com. Just put Telegram in the subject header, and I'll send you the invite link for the Telegram. Okay? What else can I tell you? That's about it. So you've been prepared for this, and you know this was coming for some years, and now it's here. So you knew it would happen. It just happens to be these days, that's all. No sweat. You knew it was coming, and it came. So prophecy's being fulfilled. Good. Good. It's all good. All right. My name's Moshe, my wife is Rivka. Please pray for us, Moshe and Rivka, for peace, safety, protection, and joy. And please pray I don't have to go into the bomb shelter. Those things are moldy and mildew. And I don't like them. And pray for our animals and pets, which are all rescues. And offering information's in the description box. And if you have questions about certain topics, you could email me. I have a website, moshehakon.com. MOSHEHACOHEN.com. I'll repeat. Moshe, MOSHEHACOHEN.com. MosheHakon.com, which means Moshe the priest. We do that in Israel. A lot of people have a name like Levi, which means the Levite, or Hakon, or something like that. Some just have a name Cohn, the last name Cohn, or Cohen, or Cohen, or something like that. All right. And there's a lot of end times topics up there in text format, and I'm going to be getting video up there too soon. So you can go there, or email me. I'll send you the link. It has the stuff I'm talking about here, like up there with the actual scriptures, interpretations of the word, commentary, everything, explaining it. It's all there. It's free. Freely you have received, freely you shall give. You can't price tag anything if you want to have an anointing from the Lord. So you can take free will offerings. Don't muzzle the ox while he treads the grain. And pray for the peace of Yerushalayim, and that's about it. Let me poke into the chat and see if any last minute questions came up. Somebody with the fly soon. Look, you need to read John 6:39. Yeshua said, all that the Father gave him, he will raise up on the last day. Which means there's no more days after that. That's after the millennium is over. You'll get eternal life. And, scriptures indicate you might fly. But I assumed you were referencing the rapture to heaven. That's not for these days. He says it in John 6:39, John 6:40, John 6:44, and John 6:54. Everybody goes up on the same day, the last day. Read it for yourself. John 6:39, 40, 44, and 54. 4 times Yeshua said it. If you want to listen to preachers that contradict the words of Yeshua with, left behind raptures that happened in a time different than when Yeshua said it, that's big trouble. And there are no multiple raptures. It's like you telling me Donald Duck is in the Bible. Now, I can't debunk that. All I can tell you is Donald Duck is not in the Bible. Multiple raptures are not in the Bible. Everybody gets raised up on the same day, the last day. There's no left behind rapture. There's no multiple rapture. Okay? But there is everlasting life. When you see Yeshua, that means you have an incorruptible body. My people's days will be like that of a tree. Okay? You're just going to live until the rapture. And that's that. Okay? So is it great news? Yeah, but it's not the rapture. That's the church's crap, that they come up with. And Darby and Schofield, it's all nonsense. It's not in the Bible. So Yafir, I guess you want to say goodbye. You're waving to all the dogs out there, right? Okay. Show that to your dogs. Maybe they want to be pen pals with Yafir and they could get on the internet and bark at each other. Okay. Thank you, and don't be worried. All things work to good for those that love the Lord. This is a great time for celebration. I know it's a sick thing to say, but that really is what it is. But it's also pretty bad days. So anyway, I'm out.